is my cat Meow Meow. She won't eat her dry food, but she will eat bags of plastic. I don't know what you're doing. All right, stop. When I was growing up, my family and I lived on the side of a cliff. The house was set back from the cliff a little bit, but there was this huge old cherry tree that my brother and I used to climb, and it was gorgeous, and it must have been over 100 years old. But as we got older, my parents retired, and when they moved, the people who bought the house chopped down the old cherry tree, and it was devastating to know that that had happened and to drive by it one day and to see it. But the tree karma that occurred was that they built this new house on the site of this old tree, which was right up near the edge of this cliff, and the cliff started to give way and they had to spend God knows how much money to reinforce the cliff, and I'm just grateful to the tree for having done that. If only they had realized that it was the root system that was holding up the hill the whole time. Oh tree, oh cherry tree, I miss you so. Thank you. Two of my favorite types of books to read are memoirs and books about the environment. And so this week I'm talking about a book that is about a female scientist, enduring friendship that is one of the greatest friendships and memoirs I've ever seen, and trees. I'm talking about Lab Girl by Hope Jahren, and I hope I pronounced that right. I think it's time to go for a walk. Let's go for a walk. So it seemed crazy to not do a video about a book and be amongst the trees, and I'm out here and there's a coyote. Coyotes are very harmless. Even as I approach this one, he's cool. We're cool. We don't need to do anything. He's just hungry, looking for a small house cat or something. All right, buddy. It seemed appropriate that if you're gonna do a review about this book, so I should be outside amongst the trees. Behind me here, I don't know if you can see that, that's a live oak. And let's see, that's a pine. It's about all I know about trees. Lab Girl was published this year by Knopf Press. It's by Hope Jahren. She's a female scientist. Currently, she runs the Jahren Lab at the University of Hawaii in Honolulu. On the one hand, Lab Girl is this fascinating book about a 20-year plus friendship between her and her buddy Bill, who have been in it together all this time, talking about trees and researching trees and the effects that our environment and humans have on the earth and what's happening with the trees. What I found really interesting about Lab Girl is that the story is told using the analogy of trees and how trees are have been impacted by humans in the environment, and just scientific study about trees, what a taproot is, or what the base roots are, or how trees produce sugars. There's all these stories, and so the book goes back and forth chapter to chapter. So there's one chapter about the science of trees and the history of trees, and then that she uses the analogy of that to then tell a story about her own personal life through of being a scientist in this male-dominated world of paleobiology. And I found it really great. The problem is that I think I just became way more interested in the stories about the science of trees than I was about her life. It's not that her life wasn't interesting. It's very interesting. The most interesting part is this friendship that she has with her lab partner Bill. It's completely platonic. She goes on and over again to describe how weird it is to the outside eye, out of context. And he's this fantastic character who I wish you could see more of in memoirs. It's almost like he's an Augusten Burroughs character, even though I'm not a huge fan of Augusten Burroughs, but it's like this wild, eccentric person in the science community who like lives in holes dug in the ground, or like dilapidated buildings in Baltimore with like no plumbing or whatever. It's great. He's a great character, and I really appreciated the story. But I never felt completely 100% invested in her and why she was telling the story. And to be honest, I I get that this is a memoir. It's her life. She can write whatever she wants to write about, and I found it part of the story interesting. But I never quite understood why I should care, and that part was, I think, unfortunate. Every chapter felt like a snippet. It felt like someone opening the door with the chain still attached. You could peer in, you could see a little bit of what's going on in the apartment or house or whatever, but you'd never get the full story. I just wanted to know more, to be honest. Every time she discussed an event in her life in this book, whether it was about the previous universities that she worked at, and or about personal relationships, it just felt like I was never given the full picture, and like as if it was almost like really guarded. And I think that's why I was never quite drawn into this. I'm gonna give the book 1 out of 3 cats. Should you read it? Sure. I think if you're interested in the science of trees and women in the scientific field, and just female scientists in general, and what it's like for a female scientist to operate in this very male-dominated world, it spawned in me a lot of empathy for female scientists, and it just, and I guess, which is why I read anything, right, to develop a better empathy about people I don't normally interact with, or situations I'm not normally finding myself in. And so for that reason alone, I thought it was interesting, but it just never quite grabbed me the way I wanted it to. I wanted to love this book, and I didn't, but I enjoyed it. I liked it. Okay, that's it for me. Thanks for checking out the video, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.